Welcome, everybody. This session is all about ITS, Intelligent Track Systems, and thank you for coming to the studio. First, we have Valerie Chong, who is the Head of Commercial Activities and Services at Nice-Côte d'Azur Airport. Glenn Marius Søgaard, who is the Chief Commercial Officer of Oslo Airport Avinor. Thomas Henningsen, who is partner at the Blueprint Partnership. And finally, Morten Pankoka, who is Managing Director of Intelligent Track Systems. Let's kick off by asking you first, Morten, what are the key business drivers for Intelligent Track Systems?
The basic drivers for us is, of course, to create happy passengers in the airport, and in doing so, also helping airports and retailers to raise their revenues. And we do that by offering a service free of charge to the airport and to the passengers, and only funded by advertising on the platform.
Now, Glenn Marius, you've just started at Avinor with ITS. In fact, it started on September the 1st. What were your principal reasons for commissioning this project?
Yeah, I think that's correct. We started yesterday with the ITS, and for us, it's. I think Morten explains it very well. It's about passenger satisfaction, of course, and it's also about how they spend their time, and it's also about wayfinding. And in the end of all that, it's also, of course, about the retailers making more profit. It's those four factors. I think it's the most important for us, and we, of course, want to learn. I'm looking forward to hearing from Valerie how NIS is doing, and learn also from them. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple of months with the pilot we have started at OSL.
Well, Valerie, ITS has actually been at Nice-Côte d'Azur Airport for 2 months now. You are, of course, a recent adopter of ITS. What prompted you to buy into the system?
Well, at Nice Airport, we are always looking for new ways of enhancing the passenger experience. We talked, Morten mentioned that, and because we strongly believe that we need to convert a passenger into a buyer, we must put him in a happy and relaxed mindset, and to do so, we must ensure this seamless journey that we all talked about, and by providing all type of services that will facilitate really his way to the aircraft. And so we immediately liked the idea supported by ITS, as we see that in these strollers, really multiple benefits. First of all, it is free. It's a free service to passenger. Second of all, it's a very simple, really user-friendly, really intuitive, and while providing all the key information that a passenger needs. When it comes to the boarding area, where's my gate and how far it is, where are the toilets, where can I find food? So very basic information, but actually super critical before and prior to considering anything else in shopping. So it's free, it's simple, and it's also smart. Because it's also personal, it can be personalized when it comes to really pushing the right. First of all, it's just you're talking to one passenger, and it's just pushing him the right message when it comes to promotion or advert to the right at the right moment to the right location. So that's what really drove us to go for this pilot during the summer. One point I wanted to highlight is that this tool this interest for the tool has been shared by all the parties at the airport, that is operations and commercial at the same time, and that makes it that addresses all the issues about flows, passenger flows, tracking and driving sales, and this is the reason why we think that tool will just bring us take us forward.
So you've had 2 months. What are your principal findings and results from these last 2 months in terms of let's just get to the bottom line, how commercial revenues have incrementally increased, or not, as the case may be.
We're still consolidating the data, but the pilot shows very encouraging, findings from the questionnaire we gathered. It's been massively used, because we have over 90% of the users really use the smart screen. And it also shows a very high level of satisfaction. I think it's scored, close to 4.8 out of 5 in the questionnaire, and so that shows that the service is there. And from a shopping perspective, the information that we have so far is that 1/3 of the users actually had shopped after having seen an advert on the screen, and it's mostly skewed to F&B and duty free. So that's very positive.
That's twice the industry average in real terms, isn't it? Twice even. It's a great result. So, Morten, if we just get into the nuts and bolts of this, can you briefly describe how the system actually works?
Yeah, and again, it's like Valerie said, we try to keep it as simple as possible. Basically, it's a shopping trolley, you would call it, or a hand baggage trolley. Normally, you have in the airport, and then we have added a tablet on the trolley, and also connected to a wayfinding and tracking system, which means that we can now sort of help the passenger be at ease, because we have log on with your boarding pass. You have all your flight information on screen at all times. If there are any changes, we will push the information to you immediately. And you can find, as Valerie was kind enough to say, all the services in the airport you need at the time you need them, and from where you are. So basically, it's from a user point of view, it should be as intuitive as possible. But of course, behind it, there's a software that we have developed. There's a wayfinding system, which is quite unique, because it basically do not need a lot of beacons to work. So it's easy to install for the airport as well. And then it's all about, having a simple business model that allows everybody to benefit from it.
Does it have to be linked to a mobile to be used?
No, not at all. Actually, we separate it from your mobile device. That's one of the things that we want to ensure, that you as a user, being a passenger in an airport, can use this service without any fear of us, either pushing or trying to pull information from your social media device on your mobile device. So it's all separated. So to use the service, when you log out, you leave it.
Well, we had the opportunity of filming at Nice Airport last month, and I think it's worth just spending a few moments to listen to a couple of passengers and retailers about how they're reacting to ITS there. How did you find using the trolley?
Really easy. We came at the airport, we didn't know where to go to find the gates, so we just had to put our iPhone with the ticket on the trolley, and then we found the place where we had to go. Then the tablet, the screen was really fun for the kids also, really easy. So what can I tell you? Yeah, my kids told me, Mom, you can go and buy some things at this store, because they have a partnership, they have some sale over there, and so it was funny. And really easy. We have all our bags, a lot of small bags, so it's really, really easy to go where you want. So a good discovery. And it was the first time for us to find this really helpful trolley.
There is a new opportunity for the customers and for the passengers is to use a trolley to first have their belongings, handbags and suitcase on it, so it gives them the opportunity to move very easily in the airport. As soon as they enter to the stores, they can really have the hands free, maybe to get an item and see the tags and try something, and their belongings are very safe. And there is another point, which is an iPad on it, so they can be connected to all facilities at the airport, especially for the good deals and good value, especially when we are on the period of sales and also promotion, so they can connect the store and see what they have available for the items and if there is a very special good deals. So it gives them the opportunity to have great value prices, and for us to start good communication with the passenger and to explain the products more. So that's another possibility to make our customers very happy and to provide them a great experience.
Thanks to the ITS systems, we have seen many passengers coming directly in the shop and buy some items. It was a pleasure for us.
The ITS trolley is very important for us and very good work because generally without this trolley we speak with the customer and tell to them all the general information like where is the toilet, where is the different shops, but also the cash desk or everything like that. So it's very good because now the people can have this, walk around in all the airports and know where is the gate of the flight, but also all the shops and different brands. So it's very good for that, very useful. And for us, we can focus more on our works and speak about the different things we have there, like alcohols, perfume, cosmetics, all these things.
So back to you, Morten. From what we've heard, clearly it seems to be a win-win situation for both customers, resellers, and indeed airports alike. Can you briefly, though, summarize how the business model actually works with airports? I mean, Valerie mentioned that it was free. Is it free to the airports too?
It is. Basically, I mean, what we do is we introduce it as a new service in the airport. And we go in and say, okay, we will take over if you have trolley operations already, as they have in Oslo. We suggest that we take over the operations. We do, I mean, all the trolley collection, the management, and the service, and it's completely free of charge. Because the business model is basically that we, in helping, you know, the airport, the retailers, the brands, to raise their revenues via advertising. Of course, we make a revenue from the advertising, and if we create a profit, we will actually share it with the airport. So apart from it being free, there's also sort of a revenue potential for the airport in this solution.
So basically, ITS takes the principal risk and it's a shared reward model.
Yeah.
I mean, two questions come out of this, I guess. First, how long does it actually take to get the system up and running? I mean, what exactly is entailed? And secondly, because I assume the timeline is not overnight, this would effectively mean your business needs to be fairly long on patience and even deeper in pockets. I mean, just how well funded are you to kind of reassure the airports this isn't going to be a one-night wonder?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, I mean, of course, in developing a business model like this, you need to have the financial support to actually introduce it in this way. So that's a very important part of our business setup, to actually have that vehicle in place. So we have the financial solidity to actually support it. So that has been in place for quite a while, and that's not a sort of a worry. When it comes to how long it takes to actually implement it or deploy it, it would be between 1 to 2 months, depending on also the setup in the airport already of, how does Wi-Fi work, how much work do we need to do, and so on. But basically what we do is to create a map of the airport terminal that we cover. We sort of fingerprint the terminal, as it's called. Means basically we are walking around and measuring it up, and then we put that information into the system, and we are ready to roll and to help the passenger find their way and all that. So it's basically, a collaboration between the different departments in the airport, from the commercial side, from IT and from operations, and then us. And that's what we tend to sort of go for, is that it's more of a team setup rather than us just coming in as a supplier. The more we work together, the more it's a team effort between airport, retailers, brands, and us as ITS, the higher chance of success going forward.
Glenn Maris, was the collaboration process as good as it sounds?
Yeah, it's been working smoothly so far. We've just been up 2 days and we worked for a couple of months with Thomas and Carl in front of that, and been a good collaboration, and we are looking forward to, as I said, just 2 days now, and I think like Valerie said and Thomas and Morten as well, it seems like the customers are it calms them. They have control over where the gate is, where the toilet is, and where the shops are, and it looks promising, really.
Well, based on what's just been said, I mean, it does seem to me that it's a bit of a no-brainer for adoption in real terms. I mean, but Morten, if I may ask you, what have been the main pain points that you've actually encountered? I mean, as we've heard, you've not just secured Avinor, but we know there are others in the pipeline who are going to sign up shortly, and you're invited to speak because of the quality of the product at various numerous industry events. I mean, do you actually see instinctively feel there's a domino effect happening?
Yeah, it seems so right now. I think that, what we have been struggling to get to a point where we actually got the data that showed that this was not just a PowerPoint. This was not just something we promised, but it's actually true. We do see data that supports that there are high conversion rate, that the passengers actually are at ease, and so on. And I think that's been the major change. I think that coming out of COVID, we see a keen interest from airports and also from the retail side, that to find new drivers, new digital tools that can help both the passenger in the airport to be maybe more self-serviced without thinking about that they are only helping themselves, because we don't want the passengers to have a lot of touch points, especially if the pandemic comes back or any other pandemic might come up. So I think there's a lot of good reasons to look into those kind of tools right now. And I sense that, from management level and all the way down to the retailers and people on the ground right now, and also from the passenger side, there's a drive towards, changing a lot of the traditional ways of helping the passenger in the airport.
Now, Thomas, it's been a fair while since we've come to you. One of the things that we haven't touched on, but it's been alluded to here, is the incremental non-aeronautical revenue stream that ITS gives, and is obviously a real and tangible benefit, not just to ITS in terms of their own funding, but to the airports because it's a shared reward scheme. Can you basically walk us through how ITS envisages these opportunities developing?
Yes. So the idea here, Peter, is first of all to make sure that this is a positive business case from day one. So make sure that there is very little, if no risk, first of all, to the airports and to the concessionaire partners. And that is really the essence of ITS bringing this concept to travel retail. And I think that the success that ITS has had doing probably one of the most, how should I say, critical, unprecedented times in the history of travel retail shows clearly that ITS has managed to bring to the table a low-risk model, benefits that are tapped into immediately. So, for example, from a speed time, you manage to do it very quickly and very effectively. Once up and running, it is completely operated, managed by ITS, which means for the airports and the concession partner, this is hands-free. This means that effectively ITS becomes a strategic partner of the airport, along with the airport concessionaire partners. So,
good point.
Looking into that from that perspective, this means that if you could even add on top of that, that there are no financial risk attached to it, because it's all driven, to Morten's point, about generating advertising revenue, call to action promotions. You could even look into surveys in terms of data mining capabilities. All of that will finance a business case that eventually becomes a win-win to all, above all, particularly to the traveler. Of course, in a time of crisis as we have right now, we want to make it easier, simpler for travelers to move through airports. We want to make sure that they feel comfortable again. We all know that the happier travelers are, as both Valerie and Glamarius have alluded to, is the more they spend. So from that, you come full circle with ITS.
in terms of the advertising itself, is it kind of a slow burn at the moment because there needs to be a degree of awareness out there, and also its accessibility to the players that are likely to want to advertise? How difficult has that been so far, or are you enjoying some success?
So on the advertising side, which would include call to action, promotions, you could even call it brand messages, etc., we are seeing a lot of support from both airports. I would also include San Diego Airport in this, so from 3 airports. We started with San Diego last year, then moved on to Nice Airport, and from there with Oslo, Gardermoen Airport. All 3 airports shows an appetite for producing advertising content, including call to actions and promotions, which really finance the whole business case.
Valerie, back to you. From the data that you have so far, and I know it's very early days, do you have any clear evidence that the advertising actually works for your travelling passengers? We talked earlier about the fact that the penetration you're getting was certainly double the industry average. They're not only satisfied with it, but actually supporting it by spending more money at your airport. Now, obviously, as an airport, you're going to clearly see that passenger satisfaction and passenger spend are inextricably linked. Does the data support this?
From the data received so far, it shows really this high level of satisfaction, this high level of usage of screen, and this fair share also of shoppers that really means that it's there's a need for a help for the passenger when it gets into the boarding area, especially at Nice Airport we don't have any welcome desk airside, so that's what does the store. And above all, it's eventually it is a tool to drive to store, but prior to that, as I said, it really has to reassure the passenger and before he does any type of shopping and buy.
If I may add quickly, to stress also that in San Diego Airport, International Airport, we are seeing 29% of trolley users actually buying what's being showed on the tablets. So the call to action, the branding, etc., 29%. In Nice Airport, that number is 32%. So it's very exciting to see that in both cases, that almost 1 out of 3 trolley users are actually buying what's being showed on the tablet. And that sort of call to action effectiveness, I think it is, at least from my experience, a very seldom capability, and the way that you can track that capability, that detailed. And I think that's really promising and exciting for retailers and concessionaires, including F&B operators, that once they upload content, it actually generates sales.
Yeah, that's a powerful result.
I can just add from Oslo. Like I said, I only had it 2 days, but when I was looking at it this morning, I spoke to one of the retailers, one of the shop managers for the electric shop, and he told me I was there at 8 o'clock, and during the time from 5 to 8, he had I think it was 3 or 4 sales regarding the trolleys, and each sale was, I think, 150 euros for the what do you call it, for the years. AirPods, JBL. There were sales who wouldn't have been made without the trolleys. So that was just a couple of hours. He was enthusiastic about it.
There's going to be a rich seam of data coming from these trolleys, that's for sure. I mean, Glenn Marius, can I ask you, how do you see this being optimized? And then perhaps Valerie, you can come in after that.
I think we have to start and look how it goes. And for us, it's going to be, what should I say, a lot of learning, a lot of teaching for us going forward, and possibly see if we can make the product even better. Now we have started with, I think it was 12 or 15 offers. It's possible to do it even more. I think tax-free can use it even more. In Oslo we have a high basket, for the tax-free shops, and I think it's possible to increase that even more with more offers.
Thomas, do you want to add anything to that? How can it be optimized?
Well, I think that one of the ways that you can optimize it from an airport stakeholder perspective, by stakeholder I mean here the owners, the operators, the retailers, the concessionaires, etc., is to try to look at ITS as a strategic tool that can help you on a strategic level. For example, in an airport we have multiple terminals. Having deployed the ITS trolleys in each of those terminals allows you to really study the shopping behavior in each of those terminals. And that is really exciting because most airports tend to look at their terminals as being either very similar or not at all. They struggle to really go in and identify what are the parameters that separate the shopping behavior in those terminals. So you can do that. You can also, within each terminal, start looking at specific areas within that terminal of where there's high traffic, low traffic. You can, through the advertisement, call to action, the promotions, also simply just generate the right information through the tablet and push it to the passengers. Make sure that you nudge the traffic to certain parts of the terminal building that you would like them to go to, which is a capability I think is unique. It is a capability that airports and their operators and retailers, etc., have been asking for a very long time. So I think that ITS is much more than just a trolley. It is actually a strategic commercial tool that can be used highly effectively. And of course, when you have airport groups that own multiple airports around the world deploying an ITS in different airports, and they all happen to own these airports, you can really start tracking shopping behavior and passenger behavior in general across all those airports. And imagine as that database grows because of the data mining capabilities, you end up getting a very rich database as time goes on.
Just to follow up on Thomas, I believe for also the heat map regarding what part of the terminal is effective. I mean, I think everybody thinks they know how effective and good the terminal is, but I believe we now is going to get the answer. What kind of use the terminal is and how good it really is. I'm not sure now. I'm looking forward to seeing the data on it. And can I ask you, Valerie, do you have you looked into it from Nice Airport, from the heat map?
Not yet, but to build on to what you just said, you both said. And to us, it is critical that we share that data with our commercial partners so that we can really come up together with really targeted initiatives. As you said, Thomas, this tool, it's strategic. It allows us to really to fine tune, any of the initiatives, to drive to store and really go to the right location, the right moment, targeting the right passenger. Regarding his destination, for example, and that's what also, as you said, the concessionaire had been they have been looking for, and us as well as an airport. But and now with that tool, that can be that should be possible.
Okay, just bringing the threads together now. One final question, Morten, to you. If there were three things you'd like to say to the viewing audience, what would they be?
I think it would be that here we have a tool that, first of all, helps the passenger de-stress in the airport. From a safety point of view, from a security point of view, from a terminal planning point of view, from having happy passengers, that's a big plus. Secondly, we here as well have a tool that can do direct call to action. And personalized advertising that they can press go and they can go straight into the shop, and then of course it's up to the shop to actually sell something. And thirdly, we have a tool here where we can now combine data from boarding passes, from the behavior of the passenger, from the context of the passenger, from the point of sale information in the airport, and by doing so we create new very strong commercial granular data, but also strategic data, like Glenn said. It's very important that we can actually start working with optimizing flow in the airport. because in optimizing flow, we can create, we can take advantage of the size of the terminals and grow inside the buildings we already have.
A suitable point on which to end this conversation. Can I just thank you all for coming into this? Valerie, Glenn Marius, Thomas, and Morten. Thanks again.